Freebird watching on this festive episode. But first, got to shout out Stadium Scene, part of the Stadium Scene network of podcasts. I wanted to make sure I got that out there when it was still top of mind. Got to fill our contractual obligations. Isn't that right, Adam and Craig? How are you guys doing?
Right. I'm all right, man.
Gotta keep the podcast daddy happy.
Exactly. They are bringing us mad money, so try to
times zero, right? Because
all jokes aside, gentlemen, it is almost Christmas time. It's crazy to say. I know Hanukkah's been underway for a few days now, and there's a lot more. Festivus is today. That's true. Shout out Seinfeld. Festivus is today. Christmas Eve tomorrow. A lot of people, look, before we get into Blue Jay stuff, it is a tough time for a lot of people. We realize that. Here in Ontario, I'm not sure what the situation is for you guys, but I texted you guys this yesterday. In Ontario, we're going into lockdown, second one, a full lockdown, even though it's not really a full lockdown because kids are going to be going back to school on January 11th in person. But regardless, they're calling it a full province-wide lockdown. And Sarah and I have made the decision to not spend Christmas with our families in person. We're going to do a few drive-bys and see families and whatnot. So we hope that this episode can bring you guys some cheer during the holiday season. It's going to be a Christmas of myself and Sarah. But guys, what are your Christmas plans? I know we talked about it in our little text message pregame stuff before the show. But Adam, what do you got going on for the holidays?
Same, man. Just staying home. My wife, my daughter, and I here in Rhode Island, it's pretty much the same. You're designated to your own household. The governor's asking for people to stay within their own household and celebrate that way. The only exception is if you live alone, you are allowed to go to another household, but the total amount of people in the house can't exceed 5. So luckily for me, my mom lives alone. She'll be joining us for Christmas dinner, as that will only equal 4 people. We all quarantine. She watches the child anyway. We don't go anywhere. We get everything delivered anyway. So it's nothing like a normal Monday, Wednesday, Friday anyway. So that's what we'll be doing. So at least we do have some extended quote unquote family. My mom coming in to celebrate with us. So she's not alone and neither are we. It's good.
Awesome. That's good news. Craig, what about you and the family?
I'm going to hang out here with the kids and the dogs and just have everything out. That's how it is.
There you go.
My parents are going to come over tomorrow, not on Christmas Day, and just hang out. Small, nothing crazy. Just watch some TV, make jokes, bring the kids their presents and stuff like that. So, hey, it works, you know. Got to do what we got to do right now so we can get back to actually having baseball.
That's true. That's very true. That's very true. Maybe that is.
So I can enjoy one of these from the car.
Hey, no, it's true. I was gonna ask this too. What are we drinking tonight? Because this is the first time I've cracked open a drink during the podcast for quite a while. This is number one for the show. It's a Black Cherry White Claw. Adam, I noticed you got a little glass there. What you got mixing on?
I got the Toronto skyline right there, and this is a Happy Skipper. We do I do the diet soda. I know it's technically not good for you, but whatever. I just do it anyway. Diet ginger ale and some Captain on some ice. That's it. Keep it simple. Yeah.
I think it's funny. He's bringing up the fact that, you know, he's drinking the diet soda when we were just talking about the contents of these.
So the first ingredient on there.
First ingredient, sugar.
It's a
the actual thing the cereal's made out of flour for the most part.
Oh, wow.
It's a once a week treat for me. That's it. Just once a week.
I
One
just
bowl.
want an excuse to show off Josh Jacks again.
Of course. Yes.
Oh yeah, no, that's become like a weekly tradition of showing that off, especially with how good the Bills are. Hey, fans.
So we rings.
You're saying out of 6,700 fans could be allowed into the stadium. That's good news for the Bills. It really is.
That's what I hear, man. And look, I wouldn't have the balls to participate in that personally, but I would like to see people have the balls to participate in that personally. So I look, when it comes to football, and I know this is a Blue Jays podcast, but when it comes to the Bills, I'm sure there's a lot of cross-pollination in terms of fan interest.
Totally.
I am looking forward to seeing fans in Buffalo at Bills Stadium for a playoff game. It's been far too long. Even the past 2 playoff appearances, they've been on the road. It's been Jacksonville and Houston. So it'd be really nice. I think the first game would be Baltimore or Miami, one of those two. So
right now, I think it's Miami.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
There's still playoff qualifications going on this weekend, my friend.
It's true.
Yeah. I wouldn't know about that.
It's very true.
Anyway, I'm sticking to my Canadian Buffalo roots here and drinking
Yeah,
blue.
that is very,
Blue.
very
Speaking of
Buffalo.
beer natty, I'm sorry, the 30-pack was only $15 at Wegmans. It was on sale.
No shame.
Try telling a Canadian how much that is, because I know the conversion is like $20 to 15, but like 30 beers here, you're getting upwards of like $40-50. You guys got it.
Stock for the week. I'm just saying. Yeah, Western New York, but then, see, the catch is like that. The taxes will get me eventually.
Yeah, that's true. Anyways, gentlemen,
I'm curious. $15.
$15, yeah. This is a Blue Jays podcast, but before we get into what we teased last week, our Christmas wish list is for what we want to see, both Blue Jays and non-Blue Jays stuff. There was one kind of significant rumor that popped up, and I wouldn't say the Blue Jays are necessarily connected to it, but they could make themselves connected to it. The Cincinnati Reds are apparently interested, or at least dangling, Luis Castillo in trade talks. Young, controllable, stud starting pitcher. It's still kind of mind-boggling to me that the Reds are even willing to trade him, considering where they are. They made the playoffs last year. I know they're going to lose Trevor Bauer. Then maybe they're thinking sell Castillo now and try to get some more assets. Anyways, Castillo is apparently on the block, and apparently Eugenio Suarez is as well. There's a few different massive contracts the Reds surely would be looking to sell. And it wouldn't surprise me if the Blue Jays are dabbling in that. I know John Morosi yesterday on Sportsnet 590 in the morning show with Mike Zigomanis and Scott MacArthur was saying he wouldn't be surprised if the Blue Jays have called Cincinnati to discuss this possibility. Craig, I want to start with you on this one. Do you think the Blue Jays could be interested in this, maybe as a fallback, or maybe you think this could be option number one? Because it seems like there's a starting pitcher that fits the same kind of mold that we were talking earlier this offseason about, German Marquez, young, controllable, under contract, and maybe the ability to lower the prospect capital sent back to Cincinnati by taking on a contract of Suarez or Mike Moustakas. What are your thoughts?
I'm throwing everything in this basket just because of the uncontrollable thing. And the sad thing is, I don't think it will be too much different than what we were talking about for getting Francisco Lindor. And to bring up the idea of what's going on, I think with the Reds, I think they're in that same limbo of when the Rockies were good a few years ago. And do you push the money in on everything right now, or do you, because you're close and you don't know if you're really going to get there, do you take a step back and have that quick rebuild instead of something that you would be prolonging over an extended amount of time? I think they're on that tipping point. If they don't think Bauer is coming back, that they're starting to maybe explore these options and to see what they could get for Luis Castillo and Suarez and company. I don't see Joey Votto being gone anywhere. Nobody's going to want to take on that ungodly amount of money, regardless of how good he is. But they could get a ton for Castillo, and it's probably going to be a major leaguer in at least 3 prospects. And top tier prospects, just because of the amount of controllable. This is a guy that was an all-star in 2019, and in all real opinions, he was lights out during that all-star game. It didn't look like anybody was screwing around, especially him. So, and to see him do what he did this past season with the Reds, even I know his record was only 3-7, but he pitched way better than that record shows.
Totally.
So this would be a game-changing pitcher slotted into that rotation, and really for prospect capital and probably a major leaguer. I don't know if it ends up being somebody like Lourdes, though, if I can throw more prospects, because I think that's where the Reds would be pushing if they are all of a sudden going for the idea here of trading Castillo in the first place. It's going to be for that quick rebuild if they decide to push that button.
Adam, what about you?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. Obviously, and I say this, obviously in jest, but I wouldn't mind getting him. It would obviously fill a massive hole that the Blue Jays need to address. But I guess it depends on what this front office is prioritizing. Now, for me, when you compare Castillo to Lindor, I know the allure of having Francisco Lindor is a little bit sexier than Castillo, just because the name clout is a little bit on the minds, a little bit more, it permeates more throughout the fan base than Luis Castillo. And that's no disrespect to him. It's just, I just think Lindor is a bigger name. So I feel like you'll sell more jerseys and it's a better business decision, even if he's just a rental. But at the same time, I don't know that you need a Lindor to succeed more than you need a Castillo. I think adding a player like Luis Castillo, you can see the success last a little bit longer in the Blue Jays organization, and you're not sort of manipulating the infield to make it work like as you would with Lindor, right? You're just slotting Castillo in. So for me, that makes a lot of sense. If the cost is Lourdes. Sure. I mean, again, that creates a hole in the outfield, but I'm not so much worried about filling those holes as I would be starting pitching. I think starting pitching is something that's a little bit more difficult to address. And as you said, he still has 3 years arbitration left, and he's a free agent in 2024. So you have him for a while, and this is probably the prime of his career. I take advantage. If the cost is Lourdes and I don't know, a couple times. I would assume Woods Richardson would probably have to be involved. I'm doing it. Screw it. Let's go.
Yeah, no, me too. And just to rattle off some numbers quickly, guys, I know you guys probably looked at this, but last year in 70 innings, he struck out 89, and the year before in 190 and 2/3, he struck out 226. The guy's a strikeout machine, and he's only getting better. He's 28. And you're right, Adam, he is a free agent in 2024, ARB eligible in 2022. So you still have him for super cheap. Like, he's making the league minimum, I'm assuming, at this point, unless you want to buy some of those years out and pay him his due. So here's my next question to you guys. Obviously, Castillo, I think we're all 100% on getting. The prospect capital, as I mentioned earlier, to tee this whole conversation up, probably would be a lot for Castillo on his own. But people are starting to be like, well, maybe if Cincinnati wants to get rid of some of the bigger contracts they have, because I wouldn't call Cincinnati a big market team. They're probably mid to small market. So they probably were one of the teams that were hurt a little bit more with the pandemic and not having fans. So, Adam, out of Eugenio Suarez and Mike Moustakas, both could play third base. Suarez in 2019 almost had 50 home runs. He had 49. And he's among the league leaders in home runs for the last 2 or 3 years. Of the two, Moustakas, we know about him from his Kansas City days. Blue Jays fans may not be as familiar with Suarez because he's been playing in the National League. But of the two, who would you rather see the Blue Jays pick up?
I'd stick with Suarez just because of the youth. Although Moustakas, he's solid when he has to be. He's not great, but he's not a bad player to have. I don't know. To me, that just sort of screams Travis Shaw all over again, dare I say, but maybe there's a little bit more upside with Mike Moustakas. So Suarez, to me, I feel like the ceiling is a little bit higher. The youth is on his side. If that's the case, then I'd like to take that on. If it's mandatory, I choose Suarez. But again, I don't really want to mess with the infield. I kind of would just like to say, look, what do you want for Castillo alone, and we'll pay the bank in terms of prospect capital for him. But if I have to choose one of the two, I'm going Suarez.
Craig?
I wonder how much I agree with Adam on the Suarez thing. Mike Moustakas just screams role player guy to me, regardless of what he can do as a peak. To me, it's like getting, just because I'm wearing this jersey, Reed Johnson.
Yeah.
If they're dangling those guys and they're talking the name clout that we are here, they just signed Nick Castellanos to a giant contract. Are they already looking to offload that? It's not out of the question. And that would fill more holes in a lot of things than we were talking about. At least that brings up we have a true everyday outfielder. I don't like that it moves possibly Teoscar out of right, because honestly, guys, I know you guys saw it. Teoscar actually looked like he solidified himself as a comfort spot in right field. I don't know if I want to mess with that, and I don't know if Castellanos would translate over to left field for that. But if he's traded, tough luck. But I think Suarez is definitely somebody, if you were going to be able to toss somebody in on this, it's very intriguing. But like Adam was saying, I feel like we got enough moving pieces around our infield already. Do you really want to throw another rich, talented player into that, more or less a Russian roulette of hitters right now? So, but like I said, I think at minimum, I don't even care what it takes. If you have a chance to get Luis Castillo, you have to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
100%. I know we had the whole trade show with talking about German Marquez and Nolan Arenado trade packages. This one intrigues me far further. just because Suarez, if it's Suarez instead of Arenado, Suarez's AAV on his contract when they signed him in Cincinnati is only it's a shade below $10 million. Whereas Nolan Arenado, you're paying upwards of 25, 30 million a year until like 2030 or whatever it is. Suarez is a free agent after 2025. I know they have a club option there, so maybe 2024 at the time. Now, because of that, the asking price would definitely probably, I would assume, be a little higher because Arenado's contract is so much bigger. Moustakas, I agree with you guys, especially Adam. I think it was you who brought it up first, and then Craig, you echoed it. Moustakas at this point in his career, as a guy who I'm just pulling up now, I believe he's 32, just turned 32. He does scream a little bit better Travis Shaw. I know Moustakas didn't have the best season in the 44 games that he played. He did have a pretty fantastic 2019, but at the same time, Moustakas has been very up and down. And for a guy who hasn't posted a WAR above 3 any of the last like 3, actually, you have to go back to the year they won the World Series for him to post his only 3 WAR season. So I feel taking on Moustakas' contract, we're doing Cincinnati a favor, and I feel something that we'd regret. But based on, let's just assume, and we move forward with it being Castillo and with it being Suarez. Adam, I know we talked Lourdes, and you mentioned SWR as guys. What else are you throwing at Cincinnati? Because you know it's going to have to take a boatload to get these two guys.
Yeah. I'm afraid, especially with Castellano, Castillo. I'm worried that they're gonna ask for someone like Pearson. And if that's, I can't see if the Reds really want to jumpstart a rebuild and get the best that they can for Castillo. I can't see them wanting less to start than Pearson. And if that's the case, if I'm the Blue Jays, I'm walking away. So realistically, I feel like it's going to take one of their top tier pitching prospects. Maybe you can sell them on SWR. I don't think that's going to be enough, but if it is, you're going to have to include a lot more. Kirk's going to have to be in that.
I think so.
Too.
It's tough.
Yeah, I think that it would be a high asking price for, rightfully so.
Yeah.
Too. I think that's where it would start. If you just think about the top 3 right there, you think Lourdes, maybe a Pearson or an SWR. We'll just stick with the SWR, assuming the Blue Jays are saying no way.
Yeah.
And Kirk. Yeah, I'd do it. I think I would do it.
I think I would too. Craig, who are you comfortable giving up?
I would wonder if it's going to be one of the Blue Jays' top catchers. It's going to be either Jansen or Kirk because they are basically already the equivalent of Danny Jensen's major league tenure in Tucker Bernhardt. Is right. Current catcher. I was like, I know he's got talent, but he hasn't materialized at the major league level. But he's definitely a defensive first catcher. So in the National League, getting somebody that possibly could have some pop and feel this, catching position, I would think they're going to be screaming to get Alejandro Kirk in this trade, as much as I don't see it happen. And it will be definitely Simeon Woods Richardson. I really don't see it anything other than that. I would feel like Adam is right that they're going to be begging for Nate Pearson, but the Blue Jays are hopefully smarter than doing that. And then they're probably going to have to give up somebody else in that top 10 tier of prospects to be able to turn this around. I'll give you the same equal shot at who that other third person is, but and it's not like they're going to all of a sudden take the contract for Randall Grichuk.
No.
To be able to certify something like that. It's going to be, this symbolizes that they want a quick turnaround. So it's going to be the collective group of probably our top tier as far as major league closeness to our minor league system. And honestly, it wouldn't shock me if it's some of the guys like TJ Zoik or some of those guys that really could help round out a pitching staff would be even a throw into or a sweetener. It really wouldn't shock me.
I'm kind of thinking along the same lines as you there, where you give them some guys you can plug and play into their rotation at the back end of it, like a Zoik, maybe an Anthony Kay is an option, whoever it is. And I don't want to trade you, Bobby. Trust me, we still want to have you on the pod quite a few times. But I really do. I would not be surprised if this asking price would be at minimum 5 players from the Blue Jays organization going back to Cincinnati. And even depending on who that is, I think I'd still be fine with that because you got them under control until at least 2024, the both of them. And that's when you're assuming the Blue Jays are going to start pushing the chips in for being a World Series contender. The final thing I'll ask about this one is because when this rumor first came up, actually maybe two things. We'll see how this one goes. When this rumor first came up, people were trying to start putting together hypothetical trade packages like Blue Jays Twitter always does, or any fan Twitter, and our show's done quite a few times this offseason. There were some people suggesting that they would be okay in this deal, including Austin Martin. Craig, where do you fall on that?
You know how we always have our little piece at the end here about we all bring up whatever that last minute thing is? I actually want to talk about Austin Martin because there was actually a really good article, I think it was yesterday or this morning, about how he's just, his competitive juices are just like, I have to play. Yeah. And he's just going to run with everything, right? There's something about this kid that I really think he could be one of the next big things in Toronto. Yeah. And I am selfishly holding on to that all day, every day, if I can do that. So, there's something about the guy. I've already seen the talent a little bit from the videos we've seen in the Blue Jays inter-squad games and stuff like that from the minor league camp. And then what this kid did at Vanderbilt. And if he's that truly competitive and he's just itching to get on the field and he can't wait, there's something there. As long as he doesn't play like Brett Laurie and have his hair on fire.
That would be bad.
I'm not moving him. You don't get someone that talented falling to you. What is it, 5th pick, right, in the draft? You don't get someone that talented. Yeah, and look, and I understand the knee jerk. I understand the why fans are eager, or not eager, but would consider including him. It's because there is no tape, right? You look at all the prospects that we have and that have developed in the system. You could find some sort of footage of, Lourdes when he was playing in New Hampshire, or Vladdy, or even Nate, Sean Refoley, even when he played in New Hampshire, or whatever. You could find footage of them and say, oh, this kid's going to be lights out. He's blossoming. Right now, there's really not a lot of footage of Austin Martin in the Blue Jays minor league system. So It's easy to say, well, he's still raw, which is true. And, we don't know what he's going to be. So you might as well sell high. I get, that sort of reactionary response to it. But for me, it's just, I don't know. This is perhaps, it could be, and maybe this is out of my reach here, but to me, there's something eerily similar to him and how he performs and how he carries himself compared to Bo.
Agreed.
They're very similar, and it's not just the hair, right? It's the way they carry themselves.
It's too eerily similar.
The fierce, the ferocity in which they play in, and their aggressiveness. I really like. They're just ball players. And for me, to having that sort of potential in your system, Castillo is, or anybody really is really intriguing. But I just love that upside, and I'm not sure I'm willing to get rid of that this early.
Yeah, not to mention, I think Martin's going to literally do a Bo Bichette trajectory through the minor league system. As soon as minor league baseball is correct back in normal, I literally think he's going to just blitz right through it. And in all reality, if it came down to me having to trade one of our top 5 guys, he's just as untouchable to me as Nate Pearson is.
Yeah.
Even with a little bit of footage and everything, there is something special about this kid. And the fact that we could actually have another stellar homegrown outfielder, because I really think that's where he's going to end at the end of the day. But I would trade Groshans right now without even thinking about it over him.
Absolutely.
I really would.
Yes. Yes.
And I love Jordan Groshans, just for the record.
No, I think
so would you take on Suarez if it meant Jordan Groshans? Because if you're trading Groshans away to Cincinnati, their third base position is pretty clogged up as it is. And again, we talked about what would it mean to acquire someone like Francisco Lindor. You'd have to do some infield manipulation. Conceivably, you'd have to do the same thing with Suarez. But if you're including a Groshans in there, you might be able to get a deal done quicker, including those two. So if that's the case, I'd be willing to do that just to give Cincinnati the incentive to get rid of the contract and to not be able to eat that money.
Yeah, no, 100%.
That would be the trade-off, I think, for that.
Yeah,
that's what evens it out for people.
Oh,
coming our way.
100%. Now, final question I'll ask about this before we move on to the meat of the show is when John Morosi was on the Sportsnet show yesterday morning, he referenced the Mark Shapiro quote. Shapiro was on, I think it was High Heat or some show on LB Network. I think it was Monday. And he said when talking about the offseason is that there are players that are available on the market that you wouldn't necessarily think would be or people aren't hearing. Do we think he's kind of tipping his cap there that like Castillo just the other day is rumored to be available in trade talks, and Shapiro goes on this show on LB Network and says that, like, are we crazy for thinking that it's kind of hand in hand, that maybe that is the guy that Shapiro was talking about? And this could be a reason why other moves haven't been made yet, maybe not, but it just is another avenue that they could be exploring. So if Shapiro brings that up, Adam, like, to me, when I heard that quote, Morosi brought it up, I'm like, I bet that they've done their due diligence and have at least engaged them on what it would take and start.
Oh yeah, no, there's no doubt that they've made a phone call, but look, they probably have made phone calls about almost everybody, right? And even people that aren't publicly available, quote unquote, it would not shock me, right? It wouldn't shock me if they called LA and said, "Hey, what would it take to get Mike Trout?" Like, it would not surprise me if that at least has been floated out there, even if it's just, for shits and giggles. But to me, Shapiro isn't someone that really necessarily tips his cap, right? I think they are being aggressive, and you have enough people in the know that are offering the same consensus about that. But when it comes to individual players, I just can't be sure, which is, again, calling back to, I think, last week's discussion when we talk about these available free agents or these available trade chips. I'm just not sure that the Blue Jays are as all in as being reported. I'd like to think they are, but something tells me, maybe it's just the Blue Jays PTSD in me that when you hear all this chatter about the Blue Jays really interested, it just doesn't really come into fruition. It's very rare. So would it surprise me if they've made phone calls to Cincinnati? Not at all. I bet you they have. I bet you they've done it months ago. As soon as the season ended, the World Series ended, they probably got on the phone and started making business calls. No, it wouldn't surprise me at all. And I think that the depths in which they're finding out who's available are way beyond our comprehension.
Totally. Craig, any final thoughts on that?
I'm just intrigued on who else it could be. I really can't say any other words on it. It's if Luis Castillo is indeed available, what isn't unavailable at this point for this offseason? I really think a lot of this is the financial nonsense that we're going through. But with the Blue Jays being this team that literally had like zero payroll at all outside of Ryu and Lourdes Gurriel Jr. and Grichuk, why not just throw money at it right now? That's really where it comes down to. And I think that's why we're hearing as much noise, because it actually makes logical sense. The other catch on this whole thing is I do not still see the Blue Jays just throwing tons of money at it. They're going to be these smart moves. Like the Luis Castillo thing actually has some good traction to it because it makes sense all around. You're giving up prospect capital for a guy that is literally slotting right into your window without even question of it. So I would think that logically in trades, that's where they're more shooting for. It's another thing to go out and grab George Springer and just throw a brick of money at it. It's another to be able to make these smart moves like this and use the prospect capital that they have been literally hoarding to the point where it's going to be an episode of Hoarders in the near future if they don't do something with it. And it just makes sense. As far as who could not be unavailable, remember Troy Tulowitzki wasn't available in 2015 either.
Yeah.
And yet, just saying. So who knows what's going to happen? But I really think that as soon as one domino falls in the major leagues here, period, whether it is the first big trade of the offseason or like Snell or somebody gets dealt, or George Springer finally gets a home.
Yeah.
It's just going to be like free agent freaking Armageddon all of a sudden. It's just going to be freaking nuts. And I really think it's going to all of a sudden come in really, really quick once it finally starts trending here. So it's just, we're a couple little pieces away from getting that snowball rolling.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. It really feels at this point that Bauer is the dam blocking the water from just totally gushing out in the starting pitching market, and same with Springer in the offensive market for position players. But look, we might be touching on some of these guys on our next topic, and this is the final topic of the show. I know it's only two main ones, but this one we could spend a lot of time on. For listeners of the show who've been listening since day one, you've known that this is the third year in a row now, I believe, 2018, 2019, and now the dreaded 2020, that we will be doing our Christmas wish list for the Blue Jays, what we want to see on Christmas morning when things are unwrapped. And look, like I say this being like, what you could wish for under the tree could be something that happens in June. It could be something that happens in September or October, because sometimes your Christmas presents are tickets to events that you can go to, or whatever. Like whatever it is, you can use it at all times. So we know the drill. Anywhere from 3 to 5 things that you've thought of that you want as a Christmas gift from the Blue Jays. I threw into our chat that you can throw in non-sports related stuff. And I think to preface this, everybody wants the same thing this year. Everybody wants the vaccine rollout to be quicker, because that's just going to get us back to being able to see family at these kind of events, being able to go see the Blue Jays live in person, being able to cross the border so the 3 of us can go hang out again. That's at the top of everybody's Christmas wish list. So that's something we're going to try to steer away from in this discussion. But Adam, let's kick things off with you. What is the first thing, and maybe this isn't your top gift that you want to see. You can choose what you want to lead off with, whether your top, your middle, your least wanted gift. What are you wanting under the Christmas tree from the Blue Jays, or just something in the world?
We'll start with the Blue Jays. I desperately, I say that obviously tongue in cheek, but I really, really loved what I saw from this team in 2020, and sort of that revitalization of 2015 and 16 to a lesser degree, because there were no fans in the crowds. But this team needs to go on another playoff run.
Yeah.
And again, even if it's just another first round knockout, I don't care. I mean, like, obviously I want them to excel further than that, but the standard has been set, right? And yes, they were an A seed coming in, and they were facing a World Series contender, and it's no easy feat. But right now, this front office has set a precedent, and even though it's a 60-game season, fans are now expecting this team to make the playoffs. And if, seeing as how young they are, it should be the start of a consistent playoff contender. So at the very least, I need to see them in the playoffs come October. Has to happen.
Craig, any thoughts on that?
How can we not go to October? They have to. There's no other thing in it. They literally teased us to the point of blue balls at this point. So, but the biggest thing I think at that point is where we're going to get into some of these other gifts. What's the next piece that's going to tip them over the edge here? Because they are definitely full of some holes in the improper places to be considered a playoff team right now on paper, because there has been no inclination that there's going to be anything extended playoff wise. So what are we even competing at right now? You have to be a 500 team.
Yep.
Minimum. If you take any kind of a step back on here, the Blue Jays fans are going to crucify the management, and it's going to be a horrible end to this. What has been a great build up to this point with building the farm system, and now starting to see the fruits of that labor really panning out at the major league level. They can't afford to take a step back. They have to keep moving forward.
Yeah, 100%. I'm with you, Adam. I like your gift. I like what you want to have unwrapped. Look, you don't start pushing in the chips and adding guys at a 60-game trade deadline, adding Taijuan Walker, adding VR, adding Ross Stripling, all these names that they acquired at the trade deadline, Robbie Ray, to not continue that moving forward. You set that precedent. You did make the playoffs. You did get swept, but at the same time, all of September, every show you can go back and listen to it on this podcast, how excited we were just to finally be able to talk about a team that, hey, we're going to make the playoffs. This is fun. It's fun talking about the Blue Jays for a change. So they set the precedent. They set it for me as far back as last year. This is the 1-year anniversary. I guess technically yesterday was, but I was asleep when it happened, so I'm accounting today as the 1-year anniversary of Ryu's signing last year, and that's when they started to push their chips in. Ryu, there was like the clearest need for an ace at the top of the rotation, and they filled that Christmas present back then. I'm pretty sure it was on Craig and I's Christmas wish list to get a Ryu or something similar, so maybe something will happen. But yeah, they started to push their chips in. It's time to keep on going, and I agree. I think the playoffs needs to happen again in 2021. especially because there's labor uncertainty after this season too. It could be a while before baseball is fully back from the pandemic and labor uncertainty. So I like your gift, Adam. I think it's one that's shared by all of us Blue Jays fans. Craig, you got a big one to beat there. Not that we're comparing gifts or anything under the tree, but what is your gift that you want to see?
I think I'm going to go more for the shenanigan level here, like usual.
Yeah, do what you want.
Cheaper beer and cup holders in the goddamn ballpark.
Yeah.
When I'm coming back, I want to make sure that I'm able to enjoy it fully. Just saying. Paying what? So I think the last time when you and I were the last actual baseball game that anybody was allowed to attend to, you and I were hanging out on the flight deck. And I remember coming back home and seeing my credit card statement and go, damn! That's all I remember. Because, we were chained back and forth on who was buying and everything. And it ended up being a great time, especially with all the fans of the show that showed up on the flight deck. And it was a great time. I don't remember, but I just remember, like I said, I was easy over $100 without even thinking about it. And then having nowhere to actually put my beer wasn't really helping me with anything. So
holding on to it all the time. sorry, I hit you with my beer.
I'm not quite in. I'm only 36. I haven't developed the whole beer shelf yet or anything. So it's kind of. But
that's a good one.
Ballpark amenities, those little things, I think we can improve on.
Yeah, and craft beer is something that people have wanted in the Rogers Center for a long time. Not just Budweiser, Bud Light, all that typical stuff that you can get, all the domestic shit that you can get in the United States or Canada.
Well, the fact that Canada's so good at brewing beer, and then you have Budweiser at the ballpark.
You have why am I playing a steam whistle right across the street? Why have you not done something with steam whistle? They can walk kegs over in the morning.
Come on. One of the times I came up, actually, the Foo Fighters were there, right? The Foo Fighters did a promo over at fucking Steam Whistle with Blue Jay bobbleheads with them. Yeah, and I'm like, how did they do that and beat the Blue Jays to the frickin' punch and not? So it's just freaking weird.
Adam, the last time you were at the Rogers Center, what was the beer selection like? And do you want to see that expanded, or what are some more amenities you'd like to see in the ballpark?
Oh man, the last time I was there was in 2015, and I gotta tell you, I think I mentioned this on the show before. It was my bachelor party, so I wasn't buying the beers; they were just being handed to me 2 at a time. Yeah, I don't remember what I was drinking, so
you weren't supposed to remember what you were drinking.
That's true. That's true.
I do understand the need for better beer selections and more craft beer selections. I appreciate that. But if you're going to the game to get slosh, trust me, after the third or fourth one, it doesn't matter. Like,
that is true.
It does not matter.
Especially
just
after
drink
all the
what
stuff
you want
around town anyway beforehand.
Yeah. In terms of the stadium itself or amenities, I personally have never been on the flight deck. That's something that I want to experience. So that'd be cool. I don't know. I think it's fine. I know there's rumors of a new stadium being built or a reconstruction of the dome. But for me, and seeing as though I don't go there that often, it's once in a blue moon. When I do, it's special for me. So I like to absorb what's there. So I can understand why no cup holders and whatnot would be annoying. And it definitely should. I mean, minor league parks have cup holders. Come on now. But
Rochester
for me,
Silver Stadium, which was the literal bleacher creature kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and in Pawtucket they had them, and that stadium was ancient. So, for me, it's not for me to say. I think Torontonians and even you, Greg, have a better understanding of what needs to be upgraded. For me, I love being there, so I accept all the bad.
Hey, that's a good answer, man. That's how I feel going to NFL games. It's not something I could do every time, or every weekend if I wanted to. But a Blue Jay game is something I can go to every night of the week if I wanted to, because they're right down the street from me. So I totally get that. That's a very fair point. And I think a lot of people do think that way too. People who come out from Vancouver, Calgary, Saskatchewan, make long trips out. It's special to them. Be like, this is the only time, maybe in 5 years, 3 years, whatever, to see the Blue Jays. I'm going to enjoy it. But your point is also very well taken, that as soon as you have 2 or 3 beers down, the cost just is like, oh, fuck it. Like,
it doesn't matter. Yeah, just
on that note.
Yeah.
I'm about to get another one after I open up the next question or next topic of Christmas gifts. Craig, good wish. I agree. I expand on that by saying craft beer. That's long overdue at the Rogers Center. I know they have Goose Island, but that's not craft anymore. I agree.
that now?
Yeah, probably. Wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, no, both good Christmas gifts, guys. Mine next, I will stick on Blue Jays related stuff. I tweeted this out earlier, Craig, when you put the preamble of the show out. I want to be able to go buy a George Springer jersey. His name on the back and everything, and that obviously means George Springer would be a Blue Jay.
Oh, come on. I was going to beat you to the punch and just say I was going to already bought you one. It's coming on. It's on its way.
Thanks, buddy.
For whatever you want on it.
But yeah.
It just has a bunch of question marks for the number. Don't worry about it.
Oh, perfect. So I'll just rip it off as soon as I have a guy that I want to put on. Whatever.
Maybe you'll tape it up and it'll be like some other person's name in like a week, right?
I've seen this at Bills games quite a few times, especially the carousel quarterbacks, when somebody puts duct tape on the back and then they write the last name and like put duct tape over the numbers and whatnot. But yeah. Springer
happens all the time.
Number, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's probably one of my top gifts, if not my top one, is George Springer. I haven't wavered in my stance on Springer since the beginning of the offseason. I personally feel the outfield cupboard is super bare beyond what we have on the Major League roster right now. So I just think it makes sense. He's a perfect bat to bat in the top three of this order or cleanup, wherever you put him. He can get on base. I always getting up there, and up there as 30, 31 isn't that up there, but at the same time, by baseball standards, it's starting to get up there. But you could assume you got 2 to 3, maybe even 4 very productive seasons from Springer. So I want to pay for that. I want to be able to see him in center field or right field or left field every single day of the week. And that, to me, truly signifies. I know Ryu did, and I said that just a few minutes ago. Ryu was the one who started it, but Springer just fully solidifies it. It's like you beat the Mets to sign a guy when you don't even have a for sure home in 2021. This is probably the dilemma with Springer right now. He's like, I go to New York. The Blue Jays are offering me some more money, but I'm not going to Toronto. I might be going to Buffalo. I might be going to Dunedin. So anyhow, I want them to pony up. I want them to get him. It's been tunnel vision for the last few weeks, even probably the last few months. Springer.
Why? Just because I'm scrolling through your Twitter account right now and it just says Springer. It looks like some creepy horror movie, man.
I get fixated on these things. That's what I want. Adam, any follow up on that gift?
No, I'm with you, dude. I would love to have Springer on this team. I think that when you have that outfield position filled and you have that sort of depth in your system, without having to give up any player personnel, you're just giving up at that point just money. I think it's a must for the Blue Jays at this point, right? We're talking about trade chips and what we're going to have to give up and how we're going to have to fill those voids in comparison to just signing someone. It sounds easy enough, but again, you're right. You have to convince that player to want to come. It's a 50-50 marriage at that point. I'm for it, man. Sign me up. And if I think last week we settled on 7 to 8 years. He's 31. You were talking about an 8-year contract. It's a lot for me. Assuming the Blue Jays have to go a little high on the term, it's a lot for me having a player until 39, 40. But if you're paying for 3-4 years of elite production, that's the cost of doing business, man. And that's a future Adam problem. It's a future Blue Jays problem. I don't care. That's someone else's problem.
Sounds like the Troy Tulowitzki trade. That's future guys. Problem.
Yeah, I don't care about that. Yeah.
Damn, that past Craig is a dick.
Follow that up, Craig. Follow that up. What are your thoughts? Do you want that as your Christmas gift?
I will have no issues with that as my Christmas gift. Unfortunately, as much as, like I said, I have the one gripe on the content of what happened in the past with George Springer and the team that we will not mention its name. He just checks too many boxes for the Blue Jays and makes too much sense. He plays stellar defense. He plays center field. We need a center fielder. We need somebody that can hit in the middle of the order. There's just too many things. And like when you can literally just solve this by solving it with money, and we have money, it shouldn't be a problem. It is literally just they had to convince him to, like you said, play in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Although if the Bills win a ring, maybe he'll want to play there a little bit.
True.
Yeah. But in all reality, I do think the Blue Jays are actually going to get a chance to play some games in Toronto this year, regardless of what starts the season would be where I think the limbo is.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, guys, if it's the first half of the season before the All-Star break is on the road, and then reevaluate where the vaccine is at and how many people have been vaccinated, and maybe you play in Toronto the second half after the All-Star break. Another topic
There's
of
a
discussion.
realistic chance.
I think it's very realistic that could be a thing with some fans in the stands by that point too. But Adam, it's your second gift.
Can
What
I
are you?
interrupt for 1 second just to
Yeah,
give
Sure,
it
yeah.
For sure,
a few people that interrupted that George Springer was their gift, along with what you were saying, is our good buddy X24 Rocks. Same thing, and about 5 other people. That was their Christmas wish list from our Twitter account
Springer?
for the
Okay.
question today. So
Good.
Springer, give me Springer. I
Yep.
want Springer.
Yeah.
That's all I'm hearing.
That's a collective Blue Jays fan base speaking right there.
But like I said, I'll figure out getting you that jersey with the random print on it, just for the shit and giggle of it.
Adam, what is your second gift? You get to open another one. What is it?
Well, since we're on the topic of tweets, Blue Jays, I know you listen. I know you listen. Shapiro, Atkins, Rogers, I know you're listening.
We're really the brain trust. We get it.
Yeah. I live in the United States. Okay. The common theme amongst Canadians, and this is no disrespect at all, common theme amongst Canadians has been for a very long time. We are diehard fans. We have a strong fan base. We are a top market in sports. You are. Please acknowledge that we exist, because in large part, the United States has swept Canada under the rug, or Toronto in particular, as a sports franchise. You see it with the Raptors, you see it with the Blue Jays. And I don't really watch hockey, so maybe you see it with Lisa. I don't know. But that being said, I don't appreciate the fact that me, as a Blue Jays fan, a diehard one at that, hell, I'm doing a podcast with you guys on the Blue Jays, but I can't participate in your contests? That doesn't make any sense. Why can't your contest, your rules, spread throughout the entire North America? The whole continent should be part of your contest. I shouldn't be excluded because I live in the United States. That's an ass-backwards reasoning, right? We're excluding you from conversations. Fine, we're going to exclude you from contests? No. Be the bigger man. Be the bigger man. Let me participate in your contest. Because, look, I would like to have an autographed Teoscar Hernandez something. I would like to be able to win that, but I can't because I live in Rhode Island. That doesn't make any sense. My Christmas gift is allow me to participate in the fucking contest.
Even when he's not going to win anything, he just wants
I don't care. I just want to participate. I want to enter.
And just to throw that out there, we actually do full on legit actually have the metrics to show. Right now, we have more American listeners on this show than we do Canadian listeners. We have 47% of our fan base is actually here in the States, and 42% of it is actually Canadian. Yeah. And then the rest is literally a hodgepodge of our best friends in Europe and whatnot. And like, for some reason, like 3 Afghan people or whatever, I don't know. But Adam, there is one cheat that I want to share with you because it worked for me once.
Oh boy.
This little guy. This is Casey Janssen. I won it in spring training. Spring training, you can win whatever the hell you want.
Okay.
I don't know. I can't believe, honestly, when I won this ball, that I couldn't even recognize that they said my name over the PA at the ballpark, because me and my dad were belligerent. We were walking back and forth to the hotel. So nice. It's like, okay. All of a sudden, I filled out something when I walked in the ballpark or some random dental thing or whatever. And I never heard it from them, but I won the ball. And of course, my dad, in his drunk mind, goes, "Hey, why don't you give that to the nice kid behind you?" And I'm like, "I've never won anything in my goddamn life. This is my baseball."
I
did catch a foul ball in hindsight, though, after that, and I handed it to the kid.
Hold on, let me add to this, though. Not just the North America. Allow the UK to participate, because you got the Blue Jays friend from the UK. You got Steve,
that's true,
good friend of the show. Let him participate too, because I'm sure he would love to. Okay, so
absolutely.
Canada, United States, and wherever Steve lives in the UK. That's it. Open it up
Steve,
to that.
He's like their single-handed promoter over there.
Yeah,
he runs the UK fan club over there for the Blue Jays. So it's great.
Shout out to Steve. Shout out to Steve. He deserves a shout out over there. Staying up until like 2 a.m. to watch games.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a whole new level right there, man.
And that doesn't apply just to baseball. There are a ton of football fans, National Football League fans in the UK. I'm sure they want to participate in contests with their own respective teams that they've landed on in the UK. So this is Adam, it's a very good gift. I agree with you. I don't know why that's a thing. I'm pretty sure the first time at the Beat the Streak, the first few years of that you could not win if you were outside the United States. And so I figured, you know what, I'm going to play anyways. And if I win, I'll sort that problem out at the time.
It's a future Brenda problem.
Yeah. I know I clicked agree to all terms and conditions on the little box, even though nobody reads it, but I want my money. I won.
Yeah, but I can't even participate because I can't even put my address in because they want a province. I'm like, I don't have that.
Put mine.
We're just going to start shipping it all to his now.
Yeah, that's it.
Use mine for contests that you want to
Okay.
do.
We're
We're
going to have to give Brendan a finder's fee cut. So if you get a Vladimir Guerrero Jr. bobblehead doll, you're going to have to cut like the corner eye out and give it to Brendan.
Yeah. Well, we've solved the gift kinda, but I agree. Open it up. Blue Jays contests to non-Canadians. That would be nice. Chris, Christmas gift number 2, Under the Tree. What are you unwrapping?
I'm going to echo one of our old friends from Jays Journal, Tyson at MLB for the Jays Journal tweeted to me earlier today during our wonderful fun, and I totally in agreement. We got to lock up the core. We got the money. We got the flexibility. Give me Bo Bichette on an extended contract so I don't have to worry about it. Vlad Jr. has obviously shown he is 100 billion times ready to put the work in. We've seen it, in the videos and stuff online. And Kevin Biggio. All three of those guys have done exactly everything the Blue Jays organization has asked them to do. And at this point, they are only getting better, I think. And why not have them as a sure thing and comfortable sure thing? Is a difference. I think right now we're seeing what the happy Vlad does in the Winter Baseball League so yeah. Keep them happy. Let them just run through the American League and destroy all AL pitchers. And if you keep them happy, I think it will happen. And I think that's a very, very good fact right now from our buddy at Tyson at Jays Journal.
Oh, very, very good tweet from Tyson, and I'm glad you echo that too. I saw that come through earlier when I was doing a little Christmas shopping and getting everything done before the province goes into lockdown. But no, I agree. I think it's I wouldn't say overdue, but it's getting close to due for at least one of them. And whether that's Bo first or Vlad second. Adam, sorry, I think Kevin would be third. I think he's the last one to get his contract locked up. But
he's
one
okay.
of those two, yeah, as long as you're okay with that, one of those two I think is overdue. Adam, do you have any thoughts on that Christmas gift? And if you do, who's the first one that you lock up?
Of those three, I'm locking up Bo first. Again, Vlad needs to prove it a little bit more to me to justify a long-term extension. I think Bo would get a pretty fair deal. Probably a 5 or 6 year deal, but if I think they're daring Vladdy to say, give us a reason to give you a 10-year contract. Give us a reason. And if he can show that reason this year, he'll get that. So although I think Bo would be the first to sign, I think if all things work out the way they're supposed to, Vladdy would get a more lucrative long-term deal than Bo, which is fine. I mean, that's to be expected. He was the chosen one. And I could see Cavan getting a nice 4 or 5 year deal with a fairly good amount of money involved. I think he deserves it. For me, I'd give him whatever he wants, but in terms of money, let's calm down. But when it comes to the reason why they're not, I think it's because they're trying to sort out the free agencies. They're trying to sort out trade capital and what they can get in terms of what they're going to have to commit to contracts. And I think that's the reason why they're holding off on that. Probably after, or maybe during spring training, or maybe even mid-season, you will maybe start to see these types of extensions happening once the financials and stuff are sorted out.
Mm-hmm. No, totally. I'm in agreement with that. I wouldn't be surprised if Vlad does end up with a more lucrative deal, especially if his gets done later. You might still be able to get Bo at a reasonable number in reasonable term if you do lock him up now, and you can get him a nice payday for sure. But yeah, no, I think both of those, your last two gifts are very good. My next one, to be 2-all for each of us, is kind of sports related, kind of not at the same time. I want the border to open so that we can all hang out in person. I've said this a lot. There's many reasons why I would like to cross the border. To see you guys is top of the list. To go to a Bills game in 2021 is top of the list. And to bring back all the alcohol that you can't get in Canada, but you can get in the United States is also.
So we're circling back to my one a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I would love that. It means that the situation is better with the pandemic for Canada to just. I think it's more so Canada at this point deciding to open the borders with the United States. But that could also mean maybe for Blue Jays fans, if they do start the season in Dunedin or in Buffalo, that maybe if you're vaccinated by March or April, assuming the season starts on time, maybe you'll be able to go to a game in the early part of the season. And if that's the case, fantastic. If they're playing in Buffalo, I'm not anticipating getting a vaccine by April, just how it all shakes out. But if I get one in May or June and they're still playing there and I can go and come back without having to quarantine, I'm going to a game. That's the thing. So that's my wish. I want the border to open because it kind of trickles into everything personal for people wanting to reunite with loved ones, see friends, see family. So that's one of my gifts I would like to unwrap.
Let me elaborate on that. Let's assume that they're playing in Buffalo for the whole year, and come September, things have sort of normalized and they're allowing large crowds. Let's do a Blue Jays game on a Saturday in Buffalo, and let's hit up a Bills game on Sunday.
Oh, I am so down.
Okay, weekend.
Yes. Yes.
On that note, we've also been goofing around with that idea of maybe doing that Cooperstown trip to,
There you go.
pop somebody's cherry on that whole front.
Yeah.
So I just the fact that we, it gets so hard for all of us to be able to do and have the fun that we had been having and whatnot. It needs to happen. And not to mention, some guy on this show eventually is getting married and we got to have a party.
Big party.
But yeah, can't wait.
No, me too. It's overdue at this point, and I think a lot of people are feeling that way too. But it has to be done safely. So
Yes.
that's how it's going to be. We're all in it together, no matter where we are in the world. So that will be nice when that day comes, when it can happen again. Adam, whether this is your final gift, just trying to look at the time and see how long we've been going for. But whether this is your third and final gift, whether we keep on going, why don't you give us your third?
We can keep it rolling. Give me more 6:37 start times. I don't like this 7:07 crap. I never did. And having a game start at 6:37 gives me a nice solid. I know games are 3 hours. I'm not complaining about the length and the longevity of the game. I'm saying it will finish before 10 o'clock. That's amazing. Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes games go into extra innings. You're up until midnight, 1 a.m. No, just give me more 6:37 start times. Make that normal. I cannot stand these 7:07 times anymore. 6:37. You set the standard last year with the 60 game season. It worked out. It was great.
Yeah.
Give me more of those.
Very down. Craig?
There you go. I like it. Then again, I just think it shows that Adam and I are the oldest two people in this group.
Yeah.
Guys, trust me, I'm in for that too.
No, I'm just ball busting. But in all reality, no, I get it. And especially if it changes on the East Coast here, this is where I think the big trade-off is. If you move that half hour earlier, that means that the West Coast games are really starting at 9:30. That one right there is at least the difference between me being able to watch a little bit of the game before I get to the point where I'm kind of I'm just going to crash mode. So it's amazing how much that little bit of half hour changes things for how your evening schedule could go.
Sure.
At least that if it's a 6:30 game, I'm just sitting down for lunch or dinner, and then it's okay, the game's on. Great. And now I can eat dinner with my family and watch the game, and there's something to watch instead of having a fight over what the hell we actually watched during dinner. And I'm sorry to my 10-year-old daughter, I don't want to watch fucking YouTube while I'm eating dinner. I really don't. It's a bunch of people screaming and yelling at each other.
Right.
No, it's crazy what that half an hour does. And after that became a thing and you got into your routine and we're watching the games that started in Buffalo at 6:37, it was awesome, especially because some of the games that went quicker, that went 9 innings, were done by 9:15, 9:30. Go to bed at 9:45 after you brush your teeth and whatnot, or stay up a little bit and just decompress from the game, especially if it was stressful. There was nothing that I hated more this past season than the Red Sox starting I believe it was their Thursday games, Friday games, and maybe even their Saturday games at 7:35. I'm just Why? Like, there's no
nobody there.
The battle traffic. Why is it starting at 7:35? This doesn't make any sense. But yeah, with no fans. Yeah, absolutely.
If you're in favor of this whole thing, the rumor is that the MLBPA wants the double headers to turn to like the minor leagues and do the 2 7-inning games instead of the 2 full 9-inning games. Are you into that too? Then, just out of curiosity.
I'm down with that too. I'm down with that too, actually.
The nice thing is, if I was actually able to attend a doubleheader, those are trucks. Have you guys ever been to an actual 9-inning doubleheader?
No,
it's
insane. I want to.
We went on a trip a few years ago to go to Camden Yards, and they weren't even playing the Blue Jays. It was just me, my dad, my brother, and my mom, and we just wanted to go to a different ballpark for a different, We went down there, and the day we got there, it just poured in August. Just ungodly amount of rain, buckets, So they had the doubleheader the following day, and it literally started at like 2:00 in the afternoon, and I don't think we left the ballpark until like 11:00 at night.
Ooh, that's
because of the layovers and stuff, because they have to have the hour in between. If it was 2 7-inning games, at least that's kind of like getting out. Oh, okay, we can go wander around downtown and grab a bite to eat. Instead of having to eat 2 meals in the ballpark. So, just curious.
No, very true. Very good point. I'm in agreement. I think a lot of people are. Craig, your third gift. What are you going to be unwrapping for us?
Third gift. I want a bat flip statue right at the beginning of the front of the outside where you walk into the ballpark. I didn't notice it until we went up the last time and saw that last Tampa Bay game on the last day of the season. I didn't even realize that they had the only real memorial thing they have outside the ballpark is the numbers for David Price, Donaldson, and whatnot when you're walking up Blue Jay Way. That's the only thing, and those the fans did that.
Yeah.
That doesn't shock me one bit. But there's just, I know they have the stuff on the outside of the ballpark that's more like kind of like the cool fandom statue stuff on the outside of the Rogers Center and everything. Even if they are planning on doing a new ballpark or anything, how do you not just pick something like that up and then just put it wherever you want in the new ballpark? They moved Yankee Stadium when they did the Monument Park. They picked it up and just moved it to the new ballpark, which is coincidentally across the damn street. But it is what it is. So it's not like it's silly little things like that honestly, it's just you guys are just like me, immersed in Blue Jay culture, and just the fact that there isn't those little kind of pieces that remind you of the why you're a fan in the first place around the ballpark is a little kind of weird. And I just want to see what they would do with that. Do you have him like where he's like about to throw the bat, or is there like some kind of weird like freaking levitating bat somehow out? And then do something like that. You have there's a few key home runs in Blue Jay history that should be embossed in brass like that, bronze. Have Joe Carter running around fist tied, pumping around the bases and whatnot, and then having Roberto Alomar all, ready to go. Yeah. Those three things seem like they should be in some kind of a, centralized location around it. Just people in Toronto can just remember the past and have all these great memories attached to it. And not to mention, you have something like that with a kid at the ballpark that didn't see it. Now you have something to show and be like, this is why I love this team. And this is why you should probably have an idea of what was going on before, or just to suck somebody in on that fandom. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. The only one that they currently have anywhere on the property is Ted Rogers. And that's outside gate 5 and 6. And that's still somewhat new. I think it went up maybe in 2015 or 2016. But that's the only thing they have. I'm in agreement. I'd be so down with that. I think it'd be cool to have a little museum or just a spot. There's no better ballpark for statues that I've been to, at least, than Comerica in Detroit, where they have in the outfield, right by the fountain there, they have like 10 statues of famous Detroit Tigers. I'm just like, oh, that's pretty cool. You could go up and see Al Kaline and all the famous Tigers that have made them good. So I'm in agreement. Adam, what are your thoughts on that one? Because I think that's a home run.
No pun intended, right? Yeah. I'm very interested to see how they would do it. As you mentioned, Craig, with the bat, how it would be levitating. There'd probably be some sort of conjoined aspect to it with the body of Jose and, to the bat. But I think something needs to be done. If it's not going to be the bat flip, I think you're right. Either the Alomar, two arms in the air, or even Joe Carter when he's like mid-thrust going into first base, I think, or even on the shoulders of the players when he pumps his arm
That
up.
would be a cool statue.
Yeah.
You could actually create the team in the statue instead of it just being Joe Carter. That would be that is an epic photo. That photo will be embossed in my brain forever anyway. So why not make it a statue?
Yeah, something. I think that, especially if you're building a new ballpark, you want that to be a centralized ballpark feel. And I know the Rogers Center, like, even though they did put dirt in the ground and whatnot, I get it, but it still doesn't feel like a ballpark to me. It doesn't feel like that's the centralized thing for what's there.
Yeah.
Just because of there's so much going on there. And historically there have been too. So yeah, I would love to see a more baseball central kind of thing, and what better way to do that than a statue?
Oh, totally, 100% in agreement. Maybe they could incorporate statues in my other Christmas wish list. Gift number 3 kind of starts to build off of what Craig said there. At some point in 2021, doesn't have to be immediately on Christmas morning when I open up this gift, but we already have had the rumblings of a new stadium. I want those plans to be official at some point in 2021. That they're like, we're going for it. We have the approval from all necessary levels of government. We have the funding, which obviously Rogers does. They have a ton of money. And I want them to announce where it's going to be. Or maybe, kind of like how they announced the Skydome name when it was originally built, have a fan submission for these are the available places in the city right now where we could put a stadium. Whether it's at Ontario Place, which is right down by the water and right by BMO Field, or whether it's there's a spot just east of downtown where there's a whole bunch of clubs and other stuff like that. Be cool to have one out there. Wherever it is, I would like a stadium plan to be announced at some point in 2021, because I just think that, especially for Canada, when you look at the Canadian Football League in general, there's been teams that have had old and decrepit stadiums for years, and they finally have built new ones. I'm talking Saskatchewan. Vancouver recently built out a new stadium for the BC Lions, which could maybe be a baseball place one day from this Diamondback rumor. Edmonton has done renovations to their football stadium. Winnipeg, Ottawa, all these places. But Toronto is the only one that really hasn't had a major stadium facelift or new one, probably since BMO Field was built. And that's starting to get old. Like, it's getting close to 20 years since BMO Field's been around. Really? So, yeah, it's been around there for a while. When TFC...
When did they build the Air Canada Center?
ACC was 1999 when the Leafs and the Raptors moved in.
It doesn't seem like it was that long ago. It really doesn't. That's why I had to ask.
No, totally. It's
and again, I was seeing concerts at the Molson Amphitheater as recent as like 2-3 years ago. So just saying.
Good stuff. But yeah, no, I want a new venue. Again, and Adam, I know you touched on this. Going to the Rogers Center is special for you. It's special for a lot of people, and even people who can go all the time, it's still special for them as well. And I'm not trying to be like, it's crap, like we need to get a new one immediately. But if they announce one soon, I think it's just something to look forward to, whether that's in 2023, 2024, 2025. I just think they could get so creative with it, especially with the money and all of these new stadiums that have been built in Texas and all these other places. So sign me up for a new ballpark.
Agreed. It needs to happen. Some sort of announcement at the very least, right? Because this has already been sort of cock teased enough through rumors and whatnot, and it's some sort of official announcement of what their plans are, where they plan to do it officially, as well as, hey, you want to help name this? I think that would be fun. So long as I can participate in this fucking contest, that'd be great.
All these gifts are starting to tie together.
I agree.
Amazing what a few beers will do.
Yes.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Well, guys, that's 3 each. Do you guys want to do one more? What are you guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I can do one more.
One more? All right, Adam,
you're
up.
Yeah, we'll do non-baseball related for this one. 2020, not the greatest of years. And I'm not going to start a soliloquy here, but I will say that 2021, it has to be better, right? And maybe I'm jinxing it right now, but with the new administration coming in, I'm not trying to get political. With the new administration coming in, I just really, really want politics to be boring again. And I don't want to look at people based on what their political leanings are. I want to be able to look at someone that's a super conservative Republican or a super liberal Democrat and say, it doesn't matter about that. Let's just shoot the shit about stuff that we can find common ground on, like music or baseball or sports or whatever.
Fucking you.
Yeah, let's have conversations again. Let's not jump down each other's throat. That's what I would really like to see, and hopefully we can get there. I don't really have that much faith that we can in terms of the immediate term, but I would like to start working on that, and I'm guilty of it too. I need to start, adjusting my sensibilities as well. I think that's something that is desperately needed, and that bleeds into other areas like sports, like how we're talking about Trevor Bauer and whatnot. I don't want to talk about that. I don't care really. I just want to talk about my team, and I want to. Obviously, there's a place for it. I'm not saying there's not, but when it comes to just individuals, we need to move past that, and we need to just accept that people are different, and we're all in this together. So hopefully, 2021 we can do that, and that'd be a fantastic Christmas gift. So that's where I'm at.
Really would
bring back the come together hashtag.
Yes.
Yeah, it's applicable. That is definitely applicable. Craig, do you have any thoughts on that one? I mean, that's something I think everybody should be agreeing on 100%. It's well overdue for that.
Well overdue. And I think you two known me well enough, especially with how this whole thing started. I'm like, hey, you guys just want to fucking hang out and goof around and have a podcast and things like that. I can't wait till everybody can collectively get back to that, at least to a more extent to the point where we are right now. Is it's getting ridiculous to the point of what is literally can piss people off. And I just want to be able to have a conversation. I'm not trying to have any kind of a political agenda. I literally find everything that funny. If you couldn't tell, from listening to this show, I laugh about everything every 5 freaking seconds. It's just kind of my personality. I point out the jokes to it. And it'd be fun to see, actual comedians be able to do their jobs again and make fun of things without getting their throat dived down and all this kind of stuff. And it'd be really, I just want things to go back to the point where we can actually have a conversation about things. I know there's plenty of things that were still wrong in the past, but I think we are logically moving toward some of those other things that would possibly shift those kind of things with certain regime changes that Adam alluded to and all that kind of stuff. I think we're heading in the right direction. So hopefully the conversation can go back to, hey, everybody's here. Let's have fun and have a few beers. Fuck.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
Craig, I remember when we were in Buffalo last year, you were telling me, I don't care what skin color you are. I don't care what religion you are, what you like, woman, men, whatever. Just be a good person. And that's what
all I ask.
That's what it should be. Judge people by who they are. If you're an asshole, you're an asshole.
I'll treat you one.
That's how it should be. So, no, very good gift, Adam. I think everybody should want that, and I agree. It's time for that. And I really hope, especially for you two, being in the U.S., where the last 4 years with the administration hasn't been the greatest, that it does improve. I think we are. I think you guys are on the right step, and it does affect Canada too. So,
of course,
that's why we pay so close attention to the American election, because we want the majority of us wanted Joe Biden
be over with too.
We got it. Got him to be very well over as well. But 100%. Craig, your final Christmas wish list gift that you want to open up on Christmas morning.
Okay, I'm not going to be this guy, but after all the lovey-dovey stuff that we just did, I'm going to be selfish and be a kind of a dick.
Sure. Yes, more draft chats.
I want a Bills extended playoff run. I don't want to. I don't even care. I just want more than one freaking postseason game this year. That's all I fucking ask for. And then, even more selfishly, I want more than one Toronto Blue Jays postseason game this year. I don't even care when I get it.
Sure.
So, there you go. I want a ring, damn it. Or
you want to be able to celebrate your sports teams, and that is a very fair ask. And I guess the final gift I'll ask for, it's kind of builds off of what Adam you started there. I want some more inclusivity in sports. I know women have started to break through in the industry. Washington has a female coach. I forget what other NFL team has one. But I think especially baseball could use more women in the game. It could use more people from the LGBTQ plus community, especially if you're a sports fan. Again, like skin color, religion, that stuff shouldn't matter. If you're a sports fan, you're a good person, and you have knowledge about what your job is going to be in a sports organization, whatever it is, you should be hired, or you should be a part of it, and you should be valued as an employee. So I think baseball, especially, I know basketball is pretty damn good with this. Hockey's probably along the same lines with baseball. And the NFL just kind of takes a few steps forward and a few steps backwards and then forwards again. But I think baseball might be the worst for that. And I would really like to see it improve. Too many old white men in the game. There needs to be some more diversity in the game of baseball. And I think that will as well make the world a better place for sports, for non-sports, for everything. It'll make women grow up to want to be working for a baseball team or be involved there. Or somebody who's gay is like, I don't feel embarrassed about saying I'm gay. I can work in a sports team or an organization predominantly with men and not be judged if I like men.
Just do what you love.
Do what you love.
Right.
Do what you love and love what you love.
I think the baseball actually has a chance to move forward quickly on that topic, Brendan, actually, because I don't know how much attention you pay to the minor league level, but being the guy that's visited a million minor league ballparks, I've visited more minor league ballparks than I had major league ones. The minor leagues, and this is the thing that's really kind of pissing me off about the whole reformation nonsense that we have going on in minor league baseball. Minor league baseball there is no rhyme or reason or anything about if you can do the job, you're in. It's literally that simple. There are more women announcers in minor league baseball than there are in most professional sports, period. And at some point it's going to start, translating, I think, to the major league level. And I really think that they really need to start looking at how you can entertain more fans. And this is the kind of pool that they really should be jumping into as far as, hey, it'd be really good to get more female listeners. Have you heard this person? And not just have as much as I love Hazel May, I really think she needs a bigger role. I really think she's that good. It's just kind of silly that she's shoved off to the third base side and just hangs out there all game. Very knowledgeable people in baseball, and it doesn't matter if you can do the job and you can talk to it. Have fun. It really should be that simple.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, unless there's any other final comments, guys, I think we all opened up some pretty good gifts for Christmas. Good discussions about the Luis Castillo and Eugenio Suarez and Mike Moustakas stuff. But any final thoughts, guys, before we wrap it up, before the New Year's Eve show with Adam next week? Any final thoughts?
Yeah. Everyone have a good holiday. We deserve it. Have a good holiday.
Everybody deserves it. You all worked really hard. So, I'm going to say a special thanks to the Blue Jays community and the Blue Jays fans, period, because we literally blew away every freaking market idea that we could on this show over the past year. I'll extend that special thanks to our new team member for this whole season, and Adam Corsair joining it, Brendan and I shenanigans. It has been a very, very fun year, and we'll talk more about that on our New Year's episode, I'm sure, next week. But it's been very fun, and I cannot express the love in my heart for everything that has been going on for the Blue Jays community. And I really hope that over the next season, we can get more of you on the show, or at least talk to more of your, tweets and everything, like we've been trying to do more and more every week. If you submit your stuff here, this is Blue Jays Chat. We are your literal barroom chat. That's why we drink on the show. So, join the conversation. We love having you all here.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Agree.
Let's wrap it up with a 2 claps and a Ric Flair, guys.
Woo!
Let's go Blue Jays.